BookTube. This is part 3 of Njal's Saga. Right here. This is translated by Robert Cook. It's a Penguin Books. And yeah, this is the third. The next to last section, we're doing chapters 81 to 120. Chapters vary in length from a couple pages, less or more. It's made a big shift. I'm just going to bring out some of the highlights. I have a lot of co-hosts on this saga, just like we do every year. And I'd really recommend checking them out. A lot of them bring up a lot of points. I haven't had a chance to see all the videos. And I'm getting into the video myself rather late because we've had some wonderful weather until today. But I've been working outside with my family and just taking advantage of the spring. So been done. I read it. I finished a few days ago, but I knew I better get this done this weekend because this week I have a lot more projects. But been having great fun. You may hear some noise across the street. Somebody bought a 190-year-old house that sits right across me. A beautiful place that sits right on the river, and they've got a company in there. You may hear the chainsaws, you may not, and they've got big equipment in there, and they're cleaning it all up. And for me, it's wonderful because I sit out on my porch, and I can see the river now. And then yesterday, a bald eagle flew over, and I just love that sort of thing. So, the saga. There's a couple sections here, and I struggle with the names occasionally, and I always do that with the sagas. We started out, I think it's Hrapp. H-R-A-P-P. He's like a bad guy. We have this Earl Hrapp. Has an affair with her of sorts. I don't know if you call it an affair, but he gets her pregnant. There's him running into the forest, hiding, the Earl trying to get him, the daughter having a liaison with him anyway. Finally, the Earl's son is killed. Hrapp desecrates a temple, and then we see Hrapp eventually make his way from there over to Iceland, where he'll be a man of ill repute, but he causes a lot of problems. We have in the North Sea and all that, we have various travels. We have a fellow named Thrain, who also becomes a problem. All this will end up intersecting with Njal's, our main character's sons. They feel badly treated eventually, and then our setting moves in to Iceland. All this is going on, and bad blood's been building. It's constantly building in this saga. There's always bad blood going on, and then it resurfaces and all that. But we end up with the conversion to Christianity. The King of Norway is converted. He sends a missionary, and there's some resistance. And you see sorcerers fighting back and forth. At one point, the missionary's horse is just swallowed up by the earth, and the missionary barely gets out. There's an all thing. The missionary faces off with some of the pagans. Doesn't always go as well as he'd like, and but there are conversions, and they're done in various strange ways. You have a military society, and I think one of the strange ones where a berserker comes running through, and then the missionary says, well, if he goes through the fire for Christianity, or if he goes through the pagan one, or there's one that's neither or. He can get through the pagan one, but I think he's on fire by then, so he never does make it through to the Christian one. So the missionary wins, and then they hack the poor berserker up. So Yeah, it was a little strange. There's a story of a guy who goes over in Eastern Europe and fights a dragon. There's a lot of travel. Someone ends up in Constantinople in a guard, and it's a really cosmopolitan stage this time around. The Orkneys, all the Scandinavian countries, the British Isles, Constantinople. I think there's even one point where they mentioned somebody had been to Russia. So we're seeing that Norse world, that these people travel around, that they're interrelated, they have international relationships, and something that happens overseas, so to speak, can end up in Iceland having huge consequences. And then even the conversion to Christianity part that's taking place in Scandinavia is having a huge impact. And the law is faltering on the island, and Njal sort of represents that old law with the all thing. At one point, he goes and he starts what's called the Fifth Court. So he still has a huge influence, but his sons are slipping away a little bit. He has a half son who, this guy named Mord, sort of sets the brothers against this half son, who actually is pretty loyal. Njal's sons end up killing him. That was my TV. I'm not going to fix that. My tablet just decided it didn't like the story. And so this sets in chain all this stuff. And I got to get the guy's name because I can never pronounce it. Skarfeden or Skarpeden. This guy's a trip. There's one point in the battle against Thrain and all this, there's a fight on a very frozen landscape, and it's great. Skarfeden, or like I say, however you pronounce it, he slows down when they're they're going up against 8 guys, and there's 5 of them, right? And it's against Thrain and Hrap and all them. And he stops, his shoe broke, and he had to tie it back together, and people get ahead of him, and he doesn't want anybody getting ahead of him, so he runs, jumps over however big a body of water this was, and lands on the ice where the opposing combatants are, and hits and starts sliding, and has his axe ready, and whack, takes out the head honcho and keeps on sliding, jumps a shield that gets thrown at him, and then the battle takes place. And I think he hit, in my translation says he hit Thrain so hard that it split his head all the way down to his jaws, and his molars popped onto the ice. But it's a pretty violent world. So Skarfeden is starting to come into his own. He's Njal knows that they've got to get some support for his sons and his house and his family at the all thing, because people are just starting to oppose his family. And Mord's been out there telling lies to get this fired up, and nobody seems to know that yet, even though they always know he's untrustworthy. So he takes part in one of the killing of the foster son, and he just lies about it. And he fools Njal's sons into letting him do it. So, and yet everybody already knows this guy's a real slime bag. But, so when they're at the all thing here, and this is where it ends up where I'm at, is they go into the all thing and they need to get support, right? So they'll say, everybody, I told them to bring a lot of supporters. Well, you're bringing armed warriors, basically, and whoever has the most is going to win. Let me make sure I get his name right again. So they go around once they're there. We'll go talk to everybody, and they're in booths, which I'm guessing is like a tent. And they'll go in, and whoever they're talking to, big powerful person at the time, they do this through several of them, they'll go, who's that 5th guy? Who's that guy right there that looks so tough and mean and like the ultimate warrior? And that's Skarfeden, and he insults every one of them, and then they don't get any support. And then finally, he does it to a guy who has a reputation as the guy who had killed the dragon and who had done all these great things overseas. And He goes, "Who's this guy?" And Scarfeedin again. Scarfeedin just lights into him, and this guy gets up and he's going to fight. He sees Scarfeedin and he decides, maybe I better not do this. And so you wonder, son. Obviously, he never really fought a dragon, but so he's built a reputation, and but when he's faced with the real thing, he's not going to go anywhere. So that's how we end. Scarfeedin's firing everybody up, and he doesn't care. He's ready to tangle, and backs this guy down. And then one of the guys, this guy has been messing with back and forth. Says, "Well, maybe we will support Njal and his guys because they just insulted my enemy." So it's a lot of that back and forth, all against backdrop of a conversion to Christianity, which seems rather militaristic, but that's how it went. The king said, and then you would convert. Well, in Iceland, of course, the king doesn't officially hold sway there, but he certainly has influence, and one way or another, they're going to convert. So you see a way of life passing, sort of on the cusp of that. And this militarized, I'm not sure militarized is the right word, vendetta-based society of Iceland is under a lot of pressure. And the law is starting to crumble. The Althing seems to have little authority. There is one scene in there, and a blind young man who's the illegitimate son loses his father to one of these combatants or vendetta people, and he goes in and he says to the guy who's responsible, "I didn't get my compensation." And the guy goes, "You don't deserve any compensation. You don't qualify." The young man goes, he meant more to me than, and that type of thing. And he's walking towards it going, if I could see, and then boom, it's a miracle. So there's more magic in here, or miracles, whatever you want to call them. He turns around and he just chops that guy right down through the noggin. And then when he turns back and goes to the door, his sight's gone again, and they say that's the way it is for the rest of his life. So you have a lot of these things going on, and it's incredibly entertaining. The battle scenes and the fights, and even that thing with the kid getting his sight, the young man, I guess. They're all really, really fun to read. You get the genealogies. I read them. I don't always keep all the names straight in my head, but that's okay. It gives a little bit of the flavor to the story and to the time period. Things are looking a little grim. We'll finish up, I think, this next coming section this week. Chapter 181. Is that where I'm at? 181? 121, excuse me. I'm making up my own numbers here. 121 and forward, I think that'll finish it off for us. Been incredible saga, so I'm enjoying it very much. So I'll leave a link to all my fellow hosts. I have not gotten a chance to watch their videos. I'm going to give it a shot to try to get them all in. Like I say, we've been having a lot of fun here, but I need to catch up. And I hope you're all doing well, and thank you, BookTube.